At 61, Melissa Gilbert finally reveals the truth about Melissa Sue Anderson. For decades, fans wondered. Two young actresses, two girls who grew up together on one of television's most beloved shows, Melissa Gilbert and Melissa Sue Anderson. On screen, they were sisters. Off screen, the truth was far more complicated. And for nearly 40 years, Melissa Gilbert stayed silent about what really happened between them. The smiles for the cameras, the perfect image of childhood stardom. But behind the scenes, there was tension, jealousy, misunderstanding, and a bond so complex that even Gilbert herself didn't fully understand it until now. At 61, after a lifetime of protecting that image, Melissa Gilbert has finally decided to speak. And what she reveals isn't a scandal or a feud. It's something far more human. A story about two girls thrust into fame too young. Two women whose paths diverged. And a friendship that never fit the neat narrative the world wanted to believe. People saw us as perfect little girls with perfect lives, Gilbert admitted. But the truth is, we were just kids navigating a highly unusual environment. This is the truth Melissa Gilbert waited 6 decades to tell. Melissa Gilbert was born Melissa Ellen Gilbert on May 8, 1964 in Los Angeles, California. She entered the world as the daughter of biological parents who faced significant financial constraints and were uncertain if they could provide the stability and opportunities that a child deserves. Recognizing their limitations and wanting the best for their newborn daughter, they made the difficult and selfless decision to place Melissa for adoption. Melissa's adoption took place almost immediately as she was taken in by actors just one day after her birth. Her adoptive father was a seasoned actor with decades of experience, while her adoptive mother brought to the family her background as both an actress and a talented dancer. Growing up in such an environment, Melissa was immersed in the arts from the very beginning, surrounded by creativity, performance, and the demands of Hollywood life. Her early childhood was marked by the divorce of her adoptive parents when she was 8, a change that undoubtedly impacted her formative years. From this period, Melissa gained a half-sister who would eventually adopt a stage name and carve out her own successful career in television. Tragically, Melissa's adoptive father passed away in 1976 after suffering a stroke, leaving a young Melissa to navigate the challenges of life without him. From a remarkably young age, Melissa demonstrated exceptional talent as a performer. The combination of her natural ability and the influence of her adoptive parents' careers in Hollywood provided her with early exposure to acting and entertainment. She began working in commercials, which not only honed her skills, but also familiarized her with the demanding and competitive nature of the industry. Melissa's career-defining break came when she was cast as the second eldest daughter in a beloved period drama series. The casting process was intensely competitive, with over 500 children auditioning for the role. Ultimately, Melissa's natural charm, dedication, and on-screen presence won the part. Production began in 1973, with the show airing from 1974 to 1983. Over the years, the series became a cultural phenomenon beloved by viewers of all ages, and Melissa's portrayal endeared her to audiences, establishing her as a household name. While the series remained the cornerstone of her early career, Melissa expanded her talents into feature films and continued to build her television career. She took on notable roles in critically acclaimed productions, demonstrating her range as a dramatic actress. As she matured, she transitioned to more adult roles and even lent her voice to animated productions. Melissa's career also had its share of challenges and less successful projects. Nevertheless, she persevered, continuing to pursue a diverse range of roles. She also returned to her roots in a theatrical context, playing a beloved character in a musical adaptation of the series that had defined much of her life. Melissa shared her personal and professional journey in her autobiography, providing fans with an intimate look at her experiences in Hollywood, her family life, and her evolution as both an actor and an individual. She continued to act in various projects and expanded her talents into dance, competing on a popular television competition. Melissa's ambitions extended beyond entertainment. She announced her candidacy for political office, but ultimately withdrew from the race due to health complications. She also became a producer and director, founding her own production company, allowing her to take creative control over projects. Melissa Gilbert's personal life has been closely intertwined with her relationships, particularly her marriages, which reflect different chapters of her life and growth. Her first marriage was to an actor in 1988. Their marriage faced challenges, as often happens when both partners are in demanding careers. After 6 years, the couple decided to part ways, finalizing their divorce in 1994. Melissa's second marriage came shortly afterward when she wed another prominent actor in 1995. Their marriage spanned 16 years, during which they navigated the complexities of blending families, careers, and public scrutiny. Despite their mutual admiration and shared experiences, the marriage eventually ended in 2011. In 2013, Melissa found love again when she married an accomplished actor and director. This marriage represented a more stable and mature chapter in her life. By this time, Melissa had gained extensive life experience, understanding herself and her needs more deeply than in her previous marriages. Their marriage has been characterized by strong emotional support, collaboration, and a sense of partnership that reflects the lessons Melissa learned from her earlier relationships. If this story about Melissa Gilbert touches your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. At 61, Melissa Gilbert finally opened up in a candid and deeply personal reflection about her relationship with her longtime co-star, Melissa Sue Anderson, revealing insights that fans had long speculated about but never fully understood. In interviews, Gilbert spoke openly, emphasizing that the bond she shared with Anderson was complex, layered, and sometimes challenging. "We had a connection from the very beginning," Gilbert said. "Being on set at such a young age, we were thrown into a world of fame and scrutiny, and that creates a unique kind of friendship. But it wasn't always smooth sailing." Her words hint at the intensity of growing up in front of the camera and the pressures that often accompany child stardom. Gilbert elaborated that, while their characters on screen portrayed idyllic family and friend dynamics, the reality behind the scenes was far more complicated. "People saw us as perfect little girls with perfect lives. But the truth is, we were just kids navigating a highly unusual environment," she admitted. Melissa Gilbert also reflected on the inevitable changes that time brings to relationships. She spoke about the evolution of their friendship, noting that as they grew older, both she and Anderson faced their own personal struggles, career challenges, and moments of self-discovery. "We each had our own paths," Gilbert explained. "Sometimes those paths diverged, and that's natural. You can care for someone deeply and still need to find yourself apart from them." Gilbert's honesty reveals maturity in understanding the fluidity of relationships, especially those formed under extraordinary circumstances. She emphasized that there was never any animosity or ill will between them, but rather a recognition that growing up together in the spotlight creates a unique bond that doesn't always conform to conventional friendship patterns. Throughout her reflection, Gilbert expressed immense respect and admiration for Anderson's talents and character. "Melissa Sue is one of the most genuine, talented people I've ever known," she said. "Working alongside her taught me so much about professionalism, patience, and the power of quiet strength." Gilbert recalled moments on set when Anderson's dedication and focus inspired her to push herself further, both as an actress and as a person. She also highlighted the camaraderie they shared with other cast members, describing the sense of family that developed among the actors, crew, and producers. Yet she didn't shy away from acknowledging that the intense schedule, long hours, and public attention could also amplify small tensions. "Being constantly observed as a child changes you," Gilbert reflected. "There were moments of jealousy, misunderstanding, and insecurity. But that's part of growing up in a world that doesn't give you space to just be a kid." Gilbert went on to explain why she chose this moment, at 61, to finally speak so openly. "I think age gives you perspective," she shared. "When you're young, you hold on to feelings and judgments in ways that can distort reality. Now I can look back and see the whole picture with clarity. I can appreciate our shared history, all the good and the challenging moments, without needing to defend or explain myself to anyone." Her statement resonates with many who have followed her career, revealing a vulnerability and introspection that is both relatable and deeply human. It's clear that Gilbert's decision to speak about Anderson now is not meant to settle old scores or relive conflicts, but to honor the complexity of a lifelong connection that has shaped both women's lives. Finally, Gilbert's comments remind fans that relationships formed in childhood, especially under the glare of fame, are often misunderstood by the public. People assume that because you work together on a show, you're automatically best friends forever, she noted. But friendship is not just about circumstance. It's about compatibility, timing, and shared experiences. Melissa Sue and I shared some of the most formative years of our lives together. And that bond will always exist, even if it looks different now than it did then. Gilbert's reflections are a poignant reminder of the enduring impact of early experiences, the resilience required to navigate public life, and the nuanced truths behind the seemingly perfect image of childhood stardom. Her honesty is a tribute not just to Anderson, but to the many friendships that grow, evolve, and endure in ways that may not always be visible to the outside world. At 61, Melissa Gilbert has given us something rare. Permission to acknowledge that complicated relationships aren't failures. That bonds forged in childhood don't have to last forever to have mattered. And that the most authentic thing we can do is tell the truth, even when it doesn't fit the fairy tale everyone expected.